What's up, everybody? Billy Tucci here, and I am so proud to announce our latest original graphic novel, Gatecrasher. In Gatecrasher, Anna Ishikawa, allied with Ran, my original concept for Shi, finds herself trapped in comic book time and must battle through a cartoonist's history to find her way back to her daughter, Otaru. Starting in 1938, Gatecrasher will take the reader on an amazing adventure across comics' incredible decades, trends, and genres that includes war, westerns, horror, apes, Nazis, space chicks, superheroes, romance, robots, dinosaurs, commies, cartoons, crime, bad girls, zombies. Along the way, the pair will stand side by side with the world's greatest indie and public domain heroes before coming face to face with Brian Pulido's iconic Lady Death. Sworn! Written by J.C. Vaughn and illustrated by me, Leandro Oliveira, and Hi-Fi Color Design's Brian Miller, Gatecrasher is literally the destroy all monsters of comic book characters that features variant covers by Stan Sakai, Art T-Bear, Rini Strinkalski, and the legendary Rob Liefeld. So please join us on this fantastical four-color adventure. I want to thank you for over 30 wonderful years in comics, and I know you're just going to love Gatecrasher. I'll see you in the funny books.
Hey everyone, welcome to PopXP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the PopXP channel.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci.
Behold his mighty hand.
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Weird.
This is the worst.
The Bell of Shame. What's up, everybody? Teen Sensation Billy Tucci here. Glad you guys can join me on a dreary Thursday night out here in the great northeast of the northeastern United States. Long Island, that's where I live. They like, don't dox yourself, but yeah, it's fine. It's good to see you guys. Thank you. Welcome to a very special edition of Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci. Tonight I got a great buddy joining me and maybe some others. But first, I'd like to say hello to a few people. Stealth X5, good to see you. Ara Galanian, the Armenian Knight, good to see you, brother. TJ James, my brother. Dark Shadows Logan. Man, you guys rock. So good to see you. Dennis Barger's in the chat. What? Best name I could think of, Cigar Gangsta. I like the sound of that, buddy. Gangster. And I'm drinking Jack Daniels tonight. I'm not drinking scotch because scotch is a celebratory drink, and I don't feel like celebrating very much. Though I will share the Shi campaign and our Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I do have a lot to be thankful for, but little things just kind of rubbed me the wrong way today. And we're going to talk about that. Yes, here's the duck stick, Blur. Good to see you. TUCCI'S badass. Anyway, guys, without further ado, I'd like to introduce a great friend of mine for over 20 years, coming on maybe 30 years. I don't know if he was even, he might have been just a mere lark 30 years ago. But ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, the king of the world, the master of disaster, the Detroit Express, all the way hailing from Taylor, Michigan, Dennis Barger.
What is up?
What's up, homie? How are you, brother?
I'm great.
Good to see you. I'm glad you could join me today. I'm going to talk about a few things, namely something as I perceive to be a crime against creativity and respect. But first of all, I'd like to thank you, Stealth X5, for that $2 super chat. Appreciate that. I never know where these super chats go. I never see him. Niall sees him because he puts them. They go back into the show, but I don't know where they'd be.
Well, yeah, I would be remiss in saying, Billy, this is the first time that you and I have been together since we were both sworn in as president and vice president of the comic book industry.
And I thank you, sir. And I hope I'm being a dutiful aid to you, adjunct.
And we'll just say that all of the problems the comic book industry came from the previous administration, and we're here to fix it.
Yeah, we are here to fix it. And by George, we are fixing it. Yes, and the best name I can think of, the beard is gone. The beard game is strong with this one. Indeed, it is, man. The game is afoot.
That's
when
right.
You have Mr. Barger on. So, Dennis, lots of crazy things happening today. We got some really crappy weather up here in the Northeast. We had snow, and then it turned to a freezing rain.
We had an ice storm last night ourselves. Yeah,
an ice storm. I think when I did a signing up at your store.
Yeah, you did.
We had an ice storm. The weather was crappy.
Yeah,
but so I figure we go about an hour. I hope everyone's having a good day. Things are going great. I was feeling peppy. I feel like there is this magnificent sea change in the entire perception of the world, of just positive energy and things getting done, and accountability is being called to action, my friend. I don't know, how are you feeling? How do people up there in Michigan, one of the states that President Donald J. Trump won, not to get political, but boy, he made Michigan his bitch, didn't he?
I'll tell you what. The Harris signs came down before the morning sun rose. I mean, it was crazy. The handful of them and we're a very conservative county. I'm in Monroe, Michigan now, and it's a very conservative county. The Harris signs came down within the day. There was no lingering, like, oh, let's wait for the recounts or any of that. And for the most part, it has been, I've seen consumer confidence go up. Both of my stores are having record Januaries.
Yeah. Good.
So, I think it just needed, everybody kind of had their sphincters clenched. And then the second it was over, they realized, oh, great, we could finally go back to normal.
Right. I agree. I feel the same way. In our state, New York State, Biden won New York State by, I think, 23 or 29 points. And Harris won by 10, I think.
Oh, the margin's closed.
13-point drop. And New Jersey, same thing. I think she only won Jersey by like 5 points or something. Crazy. So
Jersey's always been kind of purple. I've just always said it's been a very purple state.
Yeah, and the same with us. I mean, in our state, and I don't care. I voted for Trump, so I'm letting you guys know that I don't care. Is that my county is entire New York State is red, except you have New York City, Albany, and Buffalo,
and Ithaca. Isn't Ithaca blue?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. But like college town, like where my son is, he's over at Penn State, and that he won that county. And that's one of the schools where everybody ran out to the quad cheering with all the toilet paper and stuff.
Well, my daughter just texted me from her college, and I won't tell anybody where that is, but it's here in Michigan, and it's a very blue campus. And she said one of her woke advisors, who had nothing to say before that, apparently just out of nowhere praised Trump on the way he's handling certain things, just out of nowhere this week. And I was like, wow.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't argue, like, okay, who wants, do you want, gang banging illegal aliens in the country, murderers? No, you don't. So it's a lot of pettiness is going on. I mean, but the Democrats are just making fools of themselves, it seems like. The Democratic leadership, not our friends who are Democrats. We love you all. But my God, you should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see Schumer, and just and Nancy Pelosi ricketing around on her
we're gonna win. We're not gonna stop. We're not gonna whatever my chant is. Just keep
Jim
chanting.
Burleson. Hang on, I'd love to, Jim Burleson. Thank you, first of all, Jim Burleson, for that 1999 super chat. Jim, I'm going to send you a Facebook link. Would you mind popping in, since you're a Hollywood guy? Jim is an amazing. Well, he's a actor. He's a director. He's a producer. He puts on the fantastic Albuquerque Comic Con. But Jim, I'd love to. Was he at the join? What's that?
Was he at the Greek Food and Cigars?
No, he has not been to it yet. He must come. We have to have you at San Diego. Steve Peros, my buddy Steve. So Steve Peros puts together this fantastic Greek dinner, men's dinner, every Saturday night at San Diego. I don't do anything else. I cut out all my plans. That's what I look forward to. We got a great group of, and now it's grown. It's originally started off with like Steve's screenwriter friends, Hollywood guys. And then me, my buddy Barry Orkin joined, and then it was just grown. I mean, a lot of comic guys have now joined in, and we have a good time. And we eat at Athens Market Taverna, one of the best kept secrets in San Diego, even though that restaurant's been there since 1974. And we have a feast and then we go out, we retire outside for scotch and cigars and pipes. And it's just a great, great way to end the con, because I try to get everything done by Saturday night so I can kind of relax Sunday and walk around, buy some stuff, But it's good. Whatchamacallit came. James Sanchez came to the show. Came to the men's dinner. And are you planning on going to San Diego again this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got to join us. Let me, Dennis, tell everybody about yourself for a second, and I'm going to go and try to invite Jim to see if he can pop on with us for a bit.
Sounds good. Dennis Barger, 35-year veteran of collectible selling, 45 years reading comic books, 20 years of owning a store named Wonderworld Comics. I, at one point, was called the most controversial retailer in comic books. I made the top 100 most powerful people in comics list. And Excellent. They called me the Donald Trump of comic books. So yeah, and Billy and I hit it off the second we met, and we haven't stopped since.
Not at all. Yeah, no, you're a good time. I'm a good time.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get this to Jim. Here he is. Let's see, Jim Burleson. I'm on a PC, and I just don't get it. I just don't get the damn PC. See if that works.
And I'm friends with Jim Burleson too.
I sent you the StreamYard link, Jim, and thank you again for that $20 super chat. That is amazing. Thank you. So let's pop that down. Maybe Jim could. Oh, he's going to pop in. Excellent, outstanding.
And I'll throw in two more plugs here. I do a show called The Industry of Comics.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Tuesday nights on Beyond Wednesday channel. With Jesse James Comics and Brian McClay. And I also just rebooted my YouTube channel, Wonderworld Comics.
Excellent.
And had 2 videos on the Diamond bankruptcy and my new concept comic book store.
Excellent.
The retro store.
Yeah, because you don't get new books, right? You use...
Nope.
That's fantastic.
Well, I saw a lot of these problems coming, Billy, and I said, look, the stores are not insulated from these problems. If you are waiting for that diamond box to land on your doorstep Tuesday to make your rent on Wednesday or to make your next diamond order the following week, you are not protected, because if that box doesn't show up, you're fucked.
Yep.
And I've been I've been the Chicken Little saying that, guys, you need to protect yourself from the sky falling, and nobody wanted to listen. And I kind of put my money where my mouth is 3 years ago, and I'm fully insulated.
Outstanding. You know someone else who's fully insulated? Jim Burleson. What's up, kid?
What's happening, guys? What's happening?
Nothing much, brother. Thank you so much for a fantastic convention.
What a good time, right? What a great time. Oh, my goodness.
Awesome, man. I got there
Did
early.
you see the video that the Big Brothers Big Sisters did for me? I was crying. It was so nice.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh! We did a big thing. If you start to if you'll we did like a timeshare type thing. If you spend an hour with the Big Brothers Big Sisters group to find out why you should be one of their mentors, I'll give you free tickets to Comic-Con. And so they had a big old group of people turn out to get free tickets, and they ended up getting some bigs, and it was really a really neat experience. And then they did a video thanking me for it, and let me just I was bawling. I didn't do it for that, but wow, it was great.
That's you put on such a wonderful show. The way you treated all your guests, Dennis, it's like your show. The same thing what you did with your shows is that you treat the comic guests just like the celebrities. That it's called a Comic-Con, and we eat with them. You get to sit with them. You get to hang out at the bar with them. We all share the same hotel, and we had such a wonderful time. And as I said, Jim, it was such an amazing, positive experience. That's what I could say. It was just everyone was having a good time, hanging out, drinking with TV stars, and having a conversation with Kevin Sorbo and
yeah, what a great dude.
Swanson, hanging out with that.
Christy Swanson. People don't realize that she's one of us, man.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. No. We talked about getting
one of us, Billy. We got to do that this year.
Yes, you're right. Well, now that you were talking about this, Dennis. So Jim, Dennis, Jim. I don't know if you guys know each other.
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook, I think. So,
but I don't think we've met in person.
Well,
no,
you both mentions.
Yeah.
But Dennis, what I'd like to do in a few weeks, Niall, my partner, hopefully he'll be joining us. We're talking about having a retailers roundup in the next few weeks. If you don't mind, Jesse can come on. Anyone else will get a couple of retailers, and we'll just see what is the industry expecting comic book wise in 2025.
I will answer it right now with a famous quote from Clubber Lang. Pain.
Oh man, that's scary shit right there, dude. All right, so I'm going to share something right now. And Jim, you are a Hollywood guy now, whether you like it or not. You're big time, man. So guys for out there for the Jim, you want to introduce yourself and tell them what you do for the people for the uninitiated?
So I'm Jim Burleson. I own and run Albuquerque Comic-Con and Duke City Comic-Con, but my grown-up job is I'm a film producer and screenwriter and actor, and I do these Comic-Cons to meet actors that I want to work with on projects that I don't want to throw off of the balcony, right? So I have a really great opportunity to access cast that would normally be hard to get a hold of, because agents are the best at not getting people work, right? Talking people out of things. But so anyway, I develop and fund and shoot movies, and it's actually a great time, and it coincides with the Comic-Con really well. So
that's and actually, I don't know if Billy knows this. That's what I did before I opened the comic shop. I executive produced a film after I graduated called Witch Hunter with Gunnar Hansen and Penthouse pet Glorianne Gilbert.
That's awesome. I just saw an ad for that today. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That
was my handiwork.
Yeah.
So right on.
Yeah. So talking to film and stuff, and I got to tell you, I was furious today. That doesn't happen to me often, but it just really got my goat, because I'm friends with Rob Liefeld, and I have all the respect for Rob Liefeld. I think he's great. I think he's an amazing ambassador to the industry. You'll never meet a nicer guy, someone who the time he spends with his fans. I set up next to him at San Diego at New York Comic-Con every year, and he will sit there for 5-10 minutes, as long as somebody wants to spend time with him, talking to each and every person as if they're the most important person at the con at that moment. And he's such a good guy. He's got a great family. And And he's just a good family man, a great creator, an exciting creator. He always brings, again, he's always positive. And
well, don't even like. I think you need to recognize his contributions to the comic book industry. He has started more careers than anybody, just about anybody but Stan Lee. I mean, his entire, like, his whole brand was let's find the next up and coming group of people. And so all these people that have chimed in because they got their feelings hurt that he was upset how Marvel treated him. I'm like, wait a minute, like, you wouldn't even exist without Rob, and he's never asked you for that kind of recognition, but at least show him some appreciation, you know?
Right.
Like, Rob is the nicest guy. He tolerates everybody's bullcrap, right? And seriously, he came to my con in 2016 or whatever, right? And we didn't have a lot of time to talk to each other because it was busy and he was like all business. But I just watched as he, at fan after fan after fan, he would talk to him. He was drawing stuff nonstop, just the nicest person. I said to myself, I am never going to let somebody say a bad word about that man ever again in my presence. I'll fight him like I'm a nice guy.
100%. And again, as I said, as someone who's an ambassador, you know, for the entire industry, he's it.
Well, and I'll tell you, Billy, I just want to say something. There's not too many creators who stick up for retailers. A lot of the people I hear trashing on Rob today are not people who stick up for the brick and mortar retail. Rob always has.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of jealousy when it comes to this because, again, that, you know, he gave the initial design. It was him and Fabian Nicienza credited with creating Deadpool, but I think it was Rob came up with the name. Rob came up with the design, you know, with the design. He came up with the concept. All that brought it to Marvel. And what he's done, though, since when this character started taking off, he has been Deadpool's greatest champion. Really, that he's been out there, like I said, in the Hollywood Reporter. He's out there every time in the press. He goes to all the premieres. He does interviews. He's just always pushing and talking about the exclaiming Marvel Comics and what it's done for him. And he's, you know, he's always openly, you know, he's always honest and truthful that, no, this company changed my life. And he's reciprocating tenfold in what they've ever done for him.
Yeah.
And what really pissed me off about this is this whole thing is that, you know, and I will read from the Hollywood Reporters that Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld will no longer work with Marvel at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere indignities. And the writer-artist described several perceived slights, such as being denied access to the after party.
They deleted his photos, Billy. They took pictures of him on the red carpet and they deleted them before he even walked through the line.
Is that right? Like, just it's freaking infuriating, like I said. And, you know, Kevin Feige does not treat comic book creators well. And it's like, man, this guy is a good dude. Now, I've talked to several of my friends. I don't know what Rob's deal is for these movie premieres, but my friends get invited, like if they work on these comic characters, they get invited to the movie premiere, right? But they don't get a hotel. They don't get airfare if it's in another state or across the country. They got to get themselves to the movie premiere, and they get a ticket and they get a chance on the red carpet, right? Either they're well-known artists, they've written great storylines, like say Chris Claremont with the X-Men is all due to him, but they don't give them that stuff. So I'm wondering, like, here's Rob doing this, flies to New York with his family, right? Goes to the premiere, is on the red carpet, all this stuff, like you were saying, Jim. They take photos with him just to placate him or whatever, and then these assholes, they delete it. Like, who's that guy?
Well, here's the thing: is that the people that were taking photos knew how important Rob was to the movie. They knew how, like, even the publicist that Rob's publicist was talking to was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Don't worry, I'll get you in. And, you know, like, I listened to Rob's podcast, so, like, obviously I'm an expert because I listened to it one good time. But the fact is that everyone that was there, all of the NSYNC guys were friends. They knew who Rob was. They all wanted to hang out with him. They all felt like, wow, this is a great opportunity to meet Rob, who created this thing, this monster. Yeah. And then by the time it got down to the end, there was somebody, I don't know if it's small penis thing, I don't know what it was, whatever the situation was, is they said, we are going to embarrass Rob here in front of his wife and children. And you know what? I'm not okay with that. Like, that's not good. They deleted
I'll add that Liefeld was so important that the producers and the director did the hero walk of these two characters in front of a giant sign that says Liefeld's feet.
Right.
And they ran that in every trailer.
Yeah.
So it was important from the production standpoint to let Liefeld have his moment, but from the marketing and publicity side, they couldn't give two shits.
They couldn't. And again, it's just infuriating. Like what he was asking too. Another thing, if you read the article, and he was saying something like, "Can we get based on the Marvel comics created by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Nicienza?" They wouldn't give him that. They give him a friggin' special thanks. They gave fucking Bob Kane in Batman, right? Batman created by Bob Kane. Well, what about Bill Finger? Nothing about Bill Finger. So he gets it. Bob Kane gets it. That freaking guy, my son Matthew, if you guys know my little guy Matthew, the Penn State wrestler, he hates Bob Kane. So funny because he just read books. He got a book out of the library about
my
Bill
son
Finger.
read that book. I had to read that book with my son, and my son hates Bob Kane.
That's funny.
Yeah. But again, the things that they do to someone like Rob, and again of how much he's given, to Marvel Studios just to promote, right, on his own dime, doing this stuff.
So I need so as a film guy, right? When I go in and I'm doing these pitches and things like that, the amount of disrespect the industry has for the creative part of making films, right? How many directors are directing the biggest budget Marvel comic books, DC comic book movies that have never read a damn comic book? They've never read the comic. They're even told not to because they want to give it their own spin. Like they have so little appreciation for the fandom that made that IP even remotely interesting to a film. And they just piss all over it, guys. Like they do not care. And what they're finding out though is there's a reason why there is a lifespan for these type of movies. We can only tolerate that so much. We're so happy to see our films, the stuff that we grew up with, our X-Men and our Superman on screen, that we'll tolerate some of that as it goes through. But the more they disrespect the IP, the more that they character wash, to be identity politics, the more that they disrespect the source material, the less willing we are as fans to support it. So their entire hope is that they're going to build a whole new fan base, but the fan base they're trying to attract has a 13-second attention span.
Right.
They're going to explode at a 2-hour-long movie, let alone a 3-hour-long movie. They're losing us, and they're losing our offspring who have grown up with our excitement for these things, and they don't care. So I don't know. I mean, I've reached out to Rob and I said, look, man, you're the most incredible creator. Like, you have so many things going on. I know you're talking about retiring, but I also know I've seen your drive. This guy's still drawing comic books to this day. Yep. and releasing them and not missing a beat. He's going to have another idea. I told him, look, I need some of your IPs that you own. Let me try to develop these things. I will make sure that the source material is appreciated, and we'll do it as a team. And so I've reached out to him. The problem is that I do a bunch of low budget movies. I'm in the $1 to $7 million. I don't have $700 million, but put Rob's name on it. Get us, I don't know, let's get us 1,500 comic book shops excited about this that are willing to do the P&A for us. I've got a couple of billionaire investors that want to get into cool stuff. So I'm just saying there is a way to solve this, and it involves our industry. It involves our comic book stores. It involves our fans. And I think that if we can prove to a couple of guys who write these checks that it's worthwhile, that we have that support, that we can take these on the Comic-Con circuit, that we can take these to every local comic shop, I mean, there might be a way for us to make some changes. I'm not saying we're ever going to have studio money, but Kick-Ass wasn't a studio film.
Right. Yeah, but you don't need it. We have such an opportunity. And that's what I want to talk to you about. One of my books that we talked briefly, My Company Z, which is perfect for you, is that we have an opportunity in this industry to be literally the masters of our own domain.
Correct.
We can have this self-fulfilling prophecy. If we want to make a film or films based on our, say, these independent characters, things like that, the audience is there because they're in the friggin' comic shops. You already have an audience waiting for it. Unlike Hollywood that is searching time and time again, and look at She-Hulk, look at all the other stuff that's been bombing, especially the television stuff, searching, desperately trying to grab the attention of an audience that just doesn't exist. Or they're a very minuscule percentage of the population.
Right.
You know,
well, my big take on this is, if you guys remember from a year and a half ago, the Writers Guild went on strike, and the Actors Guild and everybody else went on sympathy strikes with them. They were fighting for their recognition. They were fighting for, you can't replace us with AI. You have to have more writers do this. Not one of those Writers Guild members, when picking up the source material for a comic book, ever says, hey, you know, we're going to make $1 billion movie off of Jim Starlin's source material for the Infinity Gauntlet saga and all of this stuff. Maybe we should invite Jim into the Writers Guild.
Yeah,
because,
weird, right? So
you know,
weird.
like every source material gets robbed. None of those comic book writers ever get a half an iota of respect from the writers that steal that source material and then capitalize off of it and then go on strike to protect it.
Right.
You know that the late great Neil Adams actually created a system in DC where they were required to get credit for that stuff. He actually created the base contract that they used so that wouldn't happen again with the DC stuff. That's why they ended up getting away with just putting Bob Kane in there. But it was still a scenario where, you know, they at least contractually had to recognize the creator. They then got to be the arbiter of who that was. So, and during that strike, I shot 7 movies, by the way.
Wow.
Nice.
Kick ass. Well,
they don't pay my rent, man. They don't pay my rent.
Yep. They don't pay your rent. But Rob made a quote here, and you know, I mean, sorrowful words have never rang more true. Marvel's treatment of creators has never been their strength. Without the worlds, the characters, and the concepts that we create, and in this specific case, the world of Deadpool, there are no films to shoot, no blockbusters to distribute. I'm not at the easy button at Staples. I am the human imagination behind it all. Comic book creators cannot continue to be regulated as afterthoughts. This is easy to address. Unless I reach out to address it, it will never manifest. And he's fucking right. And I love that he's taking the bull by the horns and taking the lead, because the world needs leaders.
Well, and I'll quote Adam Carolla on this.
Yeah.
If you never hear somebody say that they support so-and-so or don't support so-and-so, you can automatically assume that they're probably supporting so-and-so. And I've never heard Rob go either direction. So I've got to say Rob's probably one of us at heart.
Well, he's as far as politically, he's definitely very reserved about how he presents that. He knows how to treat his fans, and he's not going to alienate any of them. I got a feeling that he's a little more Hollywood than he is Texas, but in all the best ways. I'm a Kennedy Democrat, which these days makes me a right-wing Trump nut job.
Dude, you're more to the right of Reagan if you're a Kennedy Democrat, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I just think Rob's tired of taking the shit. I think, he probably played ball. He probably, was happy to get the acknowledgement. And then he shows up to the big dance, the $1 billion blockbuster that he is partially responsible for and cultivated. And then they treat him like this. And he's like, okay, you know what? We're done.
The people that do appreciate him though, like Josh Brolin, I think would go to bat for him any day of the week, but he would never call Josh. He would never say, hey, take my, he's too good a dude. And you know what? his legacy is his posterity, man. His kids are incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I made an offer to one of his kids for a movie, but it ended up not coming to fruition. I was trying to make a Kevin Spacey comeback movie, and my investor laughed at me, but it was a good damn movie. But
dude, let me tell you something. You're gonna have a Kevin Spacey comeback movie.
I'm working on that right this very second. I know that we have this mutual friend here. We actually just had a long phone call about that today with my investor, who now is stoked about the project. So Steve and I, we have a plan, and Kevin Spacey will be in it.
All right. Well, that poor guy got railroaded. Nothing. I don't know his life. I don't know what he does, but apparently it seems, like he got totally screwed.
Well, there's a bunch of military-age trained killers who thought they were going to meet Bruce Willis, and they're like, "It's been 8 years. I still haven't met him, and I'm not even gay." So that's what happened. There was a bunch of people mad that they were tricked into meeting Bruce Willis, and it continued a long personal relationship with one of the greatest actors of our time, Kevin Spacey.
100%. Hey, I want to speaking of greatness, we taking the bull by the horns.
Please, Billy, you've talked about me enough today.
Not all the way though. Let's go ahead and
no, you're right, Dennis. I have talked about you enough. Why don't you tell us how you feel about yourself? No, but I'm talking about freaking Brian and Francisca Polito and Coffin Comics.
Holy moly!
By the horns and building their own crowdfunding platform. You have Shane Davis did the same thing. He created his own crowdfunding platform. Rena Strikalski did the same thing herself. And now look at Coffin Comics is doing. They just launched. Let me get it right. Lady Death Savage Reign #1. It is now live. I don't see the numbers. They're going with the backers, because their numbers are insane. They get like $500,000 a campaign.
Yeah, they're incredible, and they're so good to their fans, man. I'll get a package from them, and it'll have so much stuff that wasn't in any of this. Like, they just throw shit in there for me, and they're just so wonderful to their fans. They're the best, and they run that Tucson Comic-Con, and that is incredible. They're one of the only shows in the country that pay all of their staff. They don't have any volunteers. Like, they're just good human beings. They deserve every bit of success they get.
They sure are. And they have one of their other campaigns coming up is La Moreta, and that launches in March. But that might be something that you and Brian could talk about.
I have, but he has an option for it. And
he does. Oh, okay.
I won't be able to touch it for a year. Now he's optioned most of his projects, right? But it takes money, it takes time, it takes energy. So I told him, I'm like, look, just keep me in the loop, let me know. And he's thrown a couple out there that we could do, but they don't have the numbers in the comic distribution for me to use as a selling point to my guys in the distribution world of the film. So I'm just waiting. But Brian sells a crap load of options for his projects.
Good for him then. Good for him. Well,
Lady Death, he's got some huge things happening, huge things happening. He's the biggest mover and shaker in our industry that nobody knows about.
And him again, Francisca, his wife, Jimmy Coffin, and all their crew, they're doing it themselves.
Well, that's been one of my big sticking points for a long time, Billy, is this industry allowed too many middlemen to get their way into here. Now, there are some middlemen you need, but there is a lot of middlemen you don't. Brian has taken this character for 30 years through a whole bunch of publishers and all of these people who just used and abused her and didn't pay their respects. And Brian is one of those guys that he said, I'm just going to do this myself.
Yeah.
Much like a certain person up there. Because if you sit around and wait for somebody else to do something for you, you are going to lose a large chunk of your energy, your momentum. And it's probably what's going through Rob's mind right now, too. It's like, well, I've let you guys use me for however long this whole Deadpool train's been running, and this is how you repay me. Brian already got to that spot. Brian was like, I'm going to do this myself. Okay, I need to use Kickstarter to do this. After he finally built the empire, he's like, I don't need even Kickstarter to run this shit for me.
Right. Why am I giving any money away to them? I already have the infrastructure.
This is part of that
email lists. Yeah.
This is part of that momentum of removing the middlemen from our industry, the money changers, the money lenders that have got their way in here. And we're flipping tables. Brian's flipping tables like a comic book Jesus.
Word up, dude. Word up. And so let's give Brian a little props, and let's watch a little bit of Lady Death, Savage Reign, #1.
Hi, this is Brian Polito, creator of Lady Death, and I'm presenting an all-new 48-page original graphic novel entitled Lady Death, Savage Reign. Trapped in a barbaric realm ruled with an iron fist by the vengeful sorceress Crucibella, Lady Death finds herself without her sword and her powers. Hired by a local tribal queen to retrieve a treasure stolen by Crucibella's bounty hunters, Lady Death's success brings ruination to the tribe. Consumed by vengeance, Lady Death intends to make Crucibella pay with her life. But how can she prevail against such a powerful, wicked foe? And what nefarious secrets lie buried in the stolen treasure that Crucibella is so desperate to possess? It's an epic tale of sword and sorcery. Please back our campaign now and tell everyone you know. Thanks so much.
I love this green guy. I love this guy.
Always the best production value for sure.
Yep. I tease him as that I'm the kid brother he never wanted.
I don't know. I think he feels the same way. I think he feels the same way about you, though. He has nothing but great things to say.
Well, he got some more back. He's now at 627. A couple of things, and Jim, maybe you can you respond to this one. I'm going to be TJ James, my boy here. Had some great times at the Pittsburgh Comic Con back in the day. I'm going to be devil's advocate here. It's Marvel's Deadpool. There has to be some aspect to trying to make the cinema world see things as purely corporate and not risk a hint of outside ownership. Is that true, Jim, with the film industry, that they want to basically so distance themselves from the original source material? And why
again, they think they know. So the reason why that comes up, and he's 100% right. That is their mindset. It's not a fan-driven mindset. They don't have any. There's no metrics to determine that they were right about it. I mean, beyond the $2 billion in box office sales, whatever. What is that? What is $2 billion among friends? But the situation is that the people that watched that film watched it because of all of the creative juices, right? All of the creative pieces, and for them to capitalize on all of it, they needed to make sure that they own the rights to the merchandise, that they own the rights to, everything that Disney owns. They wanted to be able to do the animated series. They wanted to be able to do the ball caps. They want to have the Disney World ride. So the limited number of people that they have to include in their legal delivery of clearances, the better off they are. So all of their contracts are structured in a way that, once you've signed over that you've bought it, you've given up your worldwide rights. That's why it's like publishing in music. How can you take somebody's song and say it's not theirs anymore? Right. It's all in the contract. So he's not wrong in that is their mindset. The reason that the mindset that they have is wrong is because there's no longevity in that as a fan base. They're going to exhaust us. We're going to stop wanting to watch those things because they look nothing like what we loved, and we've had enough of seeing them on the big screen to get that itch off of our plate. Now we just want to see what we know to be true as the character. So if they're not going to create new stories, because what they're doing, like the Infinity Gauntlet thing, that whole thing, like why would they change that? That story, it was incredible. George Perez, like that whole, like, why did they change all of that? And I know a lot of it had to do with Silver Surfer not being available or whatever, but don't change the source material if you're going to do that story. If you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. Every time I submit a script to a studio, they always have notes, right? I did this movie called Cowgirls. We haven't made it. We wrote the script, and it was a female-driven project, and we sent it to Universal, and we had Hilary Swank attached at the time, and they call back, and they're like, "This is a great script. Can you make the lead male? We want to put we want to put Bill Pullman in it. And I'm like, wait a minute, you asked us for a female-driven movie. This is a cowgirl. The movie's called Cowgirls. And they're like, yeah, but make it a male lead, because Godless had just come out. Bill Pullman was a big time, So I'm like, why don't you just write your own damn movie and then call me and I'll produce it for you? Like, I was just, my feelings were hurt at that time. It made no sense. They talk about this big game where we have to be diverse and equitable and female driven, and they're like, just give us the token white guy so we can sell it too.
Right. So they want you. Well, hang on, Dennis. We're talking about greatness, as you were saying, and who's hot. How about a fantastic, legendary artist who just worked on, I believe, is the biggest who is the artist for the biggest Kickstarter campaign of all time, and who bears a striking resemblance to Elvis Presley had he lived past the age of 42. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Mr. Ron Garney. What's up, kid?
Nice.
What an entry.
Yeah, well, I do what I can do. What are you doing, buddy?
I can't see anything without my glasses. Who am I talking to?
Okay, so you got right here to my left is Dennis Barger,
Hey.
one of the top retailers in these great United States of America. And then next to us we have Jim Burleson, who is
Nice. How you doing,
writer,
guys?
producer, actor, and the the owner of the Albuquerque Comic Con. So
Sweet.
Jim is very engrossed in the New Mexican film industry, and I figure we bring you in, Ron, because we were talking about adventures in Hollywood and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, I see you palling around with your boy Keanu Reeves, riding motorcycles and going to parties, getting in fights with guys and stuff like that in bars. And what's going on, man? How you doing?
we haven't been in fights in bars with guys. He and I tussled a little bit at the top of the Hard Rock, just goofing around, but that's about as far as it got. Yeah.
Who was tougher, Gareb Sheamus or
you had to go there. You had to bring that up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell the story. You can tell the story.
Yeah. Ron wrestled with Gareb Sheamus. They had a little wrestle,
I'm gonna.
You got to grab a guy by the face. That's just the rule. Every now and then,
you grab a guy by the face. Grab him anywhere, really. Apparently,
I think Frank Thierry described it as seeing a seal caught in a killer whale's mouth.
So what were you doing? Were you fighting tonight? Is that why you're late? What happened?
Yeah, I was training. And then so I go to train. I train for a couple hours and come back, and I write to Billy. I say, Bill, I said, I'm going to bed. I'm wiped out. He just writes back, gay.
Hey, I do get it.
So I had to save face and cut in here.
We're not going to stay on that much longer. But I'm just curious about you that, with your book, again, I think Berserker is the biggest Kickstarter campaign of all time. Your comic book.
It's really?
Yeah,
it's still the top.
I think I spent like $300 on it. So
that's something. No, really? Wow.
We talk about it
thank
as
you.
the example on my show, The Industry of Comics. We talk about it probably every week.
Really?
Because it lit the way for publishers to figure out a way to use Kickstarter to get the word out there and still include retailers in the floppy side of things. Mm-hmm. It was the best example ever.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that credit goes to Boom. I mean, they really, really, they kind of went into it not knowing what they were doing. But sometimes that's when you shoot from the hip like that, it forces you to really figure everything out, what's best for the customer. And I think they did a great job, with all the incentives and everything else. When nobody expected it was going to do as well as it did. Even when I got the call, I didn't think it. Like they called me up and they said, we're doing this book with Keanu Reeves and he really loves your work. And I didn't believe them. I just told them, I just thought he was branding something. And, so then they asked if I could do a Zoom meeting with him. So I did. And there was Keanu sitting there staring at me. But even none of us knew it was going to do as well. But him being a part of it is what really propelled it. Obviously, he's such a huge megastar.
Yeah, we
And
all want to
then
see the movie now, right? But I don't know if you can make that movie.
what's that?
I said we all want to see that movie, but we don't know if we can make that movie with as gory as it is and everything. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was the whole big thing. It was the violence, and it's funny because he's he wanted it really, really violent, but at the same time, he wants it to be about love and humanity, and he talks about that a lot. And last night I had lunch with him. We had lunch together. We did a signing here in Connecticut, and I told him, I said, I don't know that people are getting past that point, past the violence.
Yeah, but you had Kick-Ass was super violent comic, and the movie wasn't that far removed from it too. And I think people are now.
I think Berserker's way more violent.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It should. No, it is sure. But I think people are past all this flippity type of sensitive shit. I think.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I think it did well. There was none of that crap in it. None of the woke shit or any of that in it. It was just about a badass warrior demigod who came down and just destroyed people basically. And I feel like it was a cathartic moment. People needed it because they're so sick of being force fed all the garbage that has been coming out over the years. And for me it was great because I left Marvel, and Disney owns Marvel, and there was a lot of that going on at Marvel. I mean, every book they offered me, I'd ask to read the script first, and there was something in there,
Oh, there's always. Oh, okay.
Ron, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
So, as the visual creator of Keanu's vision, if it ever did come to movie time, do you think Keanu would ever allow them to treat you like they treated Rob Liefeld at the Deadpool premiere, which caused all this?
Yeah, that's that. Billy had written about it. He sent the article. I read it. I think it's the truth is in the middle on that because I think Rob is used to. Rob really likes to associate with stars, and he created the character, and and I think he sees himself as really the guy that created it, and he should be just treated just as importantly. So I get it. But at the same time, from stories I've heard, like it says in the article, that he's treated other people that way. So I don't know what the truth. I don't know him. I don't know what the truth is. I know him, but don't know him well. I've not had a problem as of yet in that regard. Marvel's always, mentioned my name at movie premieres. Like we went to the Spider-Man premiere, and they said, "Oh, Ron Garney's in the audience." I got up and joked around, and so I don't know what it's like to be on that level.
Yeah, but you felt pretty comfortable yucking it up with the swells then, right?
What do you mean, the swells?
The swells, the bourgeoisie, the movie people. You got
I mean, I never had a problem. I mean, I worked on I Am Legend, and it was funny because before Will Smith's dramatic exit from movie stardom, he was really a nice guy, treated me really well. Actually, I was on set, and he came walking over, and I was actually uncomfortable because he kept staring at me, and so I'm like, oh, why, fucking Will Smith's staring at me.
Talking about gay, right?
Yeah, that was weird, man. And so he walked over from I was standing there, and he came and knelt right next to me. And I looked down, and I'm like, what the fuck? Well, why is he, there's nobody else around. So I got kind of weirded out by it. So I walked to the other side of the set. It was in an abandoned bank. And then he's just watching me the whole time. It was one of those things where I'm just looking around, like trying not to make eye contact. And he finally gets up and walks over to me. He says, "Hey, man, welcome to the team," and shakes my hand. And we took a picture together. And I had the only thing I had in my bag was a Spider-Man comic. So I gave it to him for his kid, for Jaden or whatever his name is. And look how he turned out.
Yeah. So when he took a knee, you didn't say you're getting on your knees to him?
No, yeah. You didn't tell them the William Shatner story.
No, that's that may be a whole show. Ron, so Jim, Ron has an amazing the greatest William Shatner story of all time is
it really is the greatest William Shatner story of all time. It's so fucked.
it's
Like, which is so bizarre because my life led me to that moment,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I could tell you guys if you want to wait and hear it. You
yeah,
want to
yeah,
hear the
please,
story?
it's-
All right.
it's my favorite fucking
Bill.
story.
I'd love to hear the story about Bill.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. So William Shatner was actually really an integral part of me as a young boy. You know, I was a big Star Trek kid. You know, I lived in the middle of nowhere. Didn't have a lot of friends or anything, and Star Trek came on. And I started watching it, and I had, you know, I came from a fucked up background. Be perfectly frank. I had, you know, I didn't have a great childhood, and the father figures weren't there, all this stuff. But so when I started watching Star Trek, I looked at him as the template, you know, of the guy I would want to be. You know, I'm like, that's the guy, the courageous, charismatic, had moral, strong strength, you know, a strength of moral code, everything. And so that to me was the guy, you know, and so so cut to 50 years later, you know, like, you know, my whole life I thought about this dude, you know, and I have props and stuff from the show, and me and my brother had a show called Kirk versus Spock on Vulcan on Wednesdays when we were kids, and I always had to be Kirk, you know. And not just that, but I followed a little bit of his career after. So anyway, cut to 50 years later. And I'm a guest of the convention in South Carolina, right? So I see that William Shatner's going to be. So I called the promoter. I'm like, oh my God. I said, is there any way I could meet William Shatner? And they're like, absolutely. We'll talk, we'll set it up, and, you come down and we'll set you up to meet Bill. I'm like, great. So I was excited, So I go down, and the promoter comes up to me that Saturday, and she says, so listen, Bill's going to be back in his special room. Like, they had a special curtained off room just for him, right? In the back, in the middle of this warehouse, the convention center. And so she says, when he's back there, I'm going to come take your spot, and then I'm going to have the event guy bring you down there, one of the event handlers. I'm like, awesome. So 1 o'clock or so rolls around, and she comes running over. Okay, Bill's in his thing, go. So where this is clear across the convention center. So I'm like all excited following the event guy, and I'm thinking, what am I going to say to him? I didn't even know what I hadn't prepared anything, and I didn't know what to expect, But I was just excited. So we go through the curtains where all the, the celebrities are, and we go through the curtains. And way in the distance is this little curtained off square, like the obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like you can hear them in
the middle of
so I'm like,
hall, right?
What?
It's all empty around.
Yeah, because back there was just warehouse. It just looked like a warehouse. It wasn't part of the convention center convention. So he brings me, and he opens the curtain, and there's Shatner just sitting in the corner on a chair looking at his phone. And there's a little couch right next to him. And so the event guy goes, Mr. Shatner, this is Ron Garney. And Shatner gets up, and he walks over, and he doesn't even look at me. And he just looks at the event guy, and he points right in my face, and he goes, Who? Who is this? Who is he? Like that. And I'm like, and the event guy's going, it's Ron Garney. He's and Shatner. And so I was like, whoa. I said, I'm a guest of the show, and I was told to come down here so we could meet. And he goes, you're a guest? You're a guest of the show? Like that. And I'm like, yes, I'm a guest of the show. And he just doesn't even say anything. He just goes and sits down. Now, in the meantime, the event guy had fucking hightailed it out of there.
He left in the fucking tent.
So I'm standing there in the middle of this little cubicle with William Shatner, and he just goes back to looking at his phone. I'm just standing there looking at him. I'm like, all right. So I go to sit now. You again try to picture 50 years had led me to this moment, and I freaking go, and I go to sit down on the couch, and he goes, you're not, you're sitting on the couch. You're not sitting on the couch, are you? I went, I don't have to. So I knelt down in front of him. He goes, and now you're kneeling. And so he's like 93 and his eyes are all glassy and he's looking at me and he's kind of shaking, and he's like, he really is looking at me like, who the fuck are you,
You could have killed him in that moment.
Yeah. So I'm like, listen, I said, so when he said, are you kneeling? I wasn't going to let him monkey me around anymore. So I just looked him right in the eye and I said, listen, I said, it's an honor to, I said, I told him, I said, listen, my name's Ron Garney. I even tried to bring up Keanu and Berserker and he goes, you don't have to qualify yourself like that.
What a holy shit.
And I'm like, I'm not qualifying myself. You asked me who I was. And I was just like, I waved my hands. I'm like, listen, I said, it's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to meet you. And then he kind of just stared at me. And so I said, listen, when I was a kid, I said, I'm not going to get into my old past. I said, but I knew you were going to be here and I didn't want to go my whole life without having told you that you were everything I thought a man should be growing up, And he goes, well, now you don't have to wait your whole life.
You just told him.
When you thought his gun only had two
grandfather, and then he's
so I'm just looking at him. I go, well, I just want to tell you. He goes, well, thank you. He goes like that, and I went, okay, I'll stop bothering you. And I got up and I walked out.
How was that, Ron? How was that walk out of the tent all the way back through the warehouse?
I was just sort of like, you know what it was? Is I was kneeling in front of
cosplayers on the way out, didn't you? Just punched a couple of cosplayers.
Yeah, no, well, it took a while for me to digest, and the next day I went to look for him, and I was gonna really let him have it because at first I was just sort of shocked because I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect that, and so.
At least you didn't.
But the story doesn't end there.
Punch a baby.
The story doesn't end there. So I go back to my table and I'm thinking about it, and I just went back to my shit. And so then the con ends, and I make my way out to the shuttle to get back to the hotel, and I step onto the shuttle bus, and the shuttle bus guy looks at me and he goes, I heard what happened with William Shatner. And I'm like, what? So clearly the event guy, it got around the con like wildfire. Like, everybody knew about it. And, knew from what the event guy saw. They didn't have any idea the whole extent of what had happened. And so I'm like, yeah. And then I explained it to him a little bit. And then, so there was some guy behind me. His name was Kurt something. And he worked for Jim Henson or whatever. And he goes, oh, listen, he goes, man, I know Bill. I've known Bill for 15 years. So he comes across a certain way and he doesn't mean, I'm like, no, I'm pretty set on how the vibe I got from him,
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I'm doing a benefit with him, in a month or so, or in June. And I said, well, listen, I should just tell him I didn't mean to catch him off guard, because what had occurred to me is they didn't tell him I was coming.
Right. They definitely didn't tell him you were coming.
Yeah. And I thought they were telling him, oh, we have this guy who wants to meet you. Can you, but he didn't know anything. I was just some fucking guy. That's why he's pointing at me. Who is this? Who is he? So the shuttle gets back to the hotel and I get off with Kurt and we walk into the hotel, and who comes walking over but William fucking Shatner. And he goes, Kurt. And he's like, hey, Bill. Now, Kurt is like all uncomfortable because I'm standing right next to him. And he had just heard the whole story. And so I'm standing there and they're swapping some words back and forth. And then all of a sudden there's a pause and Shatner just looks over at me, like out of the corner of his eye, like sees me. And I went, hey, I said, I didn't mean to catch you off guard back there. And he just goes, see you around, Kurt. And he freaking turns around and bolts out of there.
You know, the TMZ article with you grabbing him by the back of the neck.
Oh,
would have been
dude, I
pretty
swear to
incredible.
God. I mean, that's what I wanted to do after that. Like after that, I went to look for him the next day. I was like fucking pissed. Like, who the fuck you? I have fucking 4 children. I'm 62 years old. Who are you to talk to me this way?
Yeah,
So,
right.
it's crazy. I got into the promoting business as a cage fighting promoter for 15 years. I did King of the Cage and
Cool,
Glass
man.
Challenge and all that stuff. So
Oh, you did?
Fights. Yeah, it was awesome. But I couldn't take my kids to work with me, so I said I'm going to transition into the Comic-Con world. I was getting older. I didn't care if I was cool anymore, right? I didn't need to be cool and this fighter guy. But at every opportunity I had to encounter people, I always found those people with those kind of attitudes. And I have to step back and remember, look, you're in the Comic-Con world now. You don't need to throw this guy down the stairs.
Yeah.
But so I had Bill at a Comic-Con in 2015, and his agent Gary Hassan said, look, he likes to drink. If you need to talk to him between 12 and 1, because he's had enough to drink, but not too much to be belligerent and a dick. Right. So I waited until 12:30 or whatever, and I went to meet him, and he was super nice and gracious and everything. He's like, I'll come back whenever you want. And it was wonderful, but I didn't invite him back because the following year, this guy Gary Hassan invited Ron Perlman. And Ron changed his schedule, like had a lot of issues, and then was worried he wasn't going to get his money because he changed from Friday to Saturday instead of Saturday to Sunday. And he's like, I'm going to need to see that you have the cash to pay. And I'm on the phone with this guy, and I'm like, look, just have him start signing autographs, and I'll meet you after lunch, and I'll give you the payout.
Perlman said that?
No, Perlman didn't say anything. He just sat there.
Shatner said that.
No, Hassan, Shatner's agent from the first time around, right? So it was a scenario where then this Hassan guy's like, he's like, no, you that's not in the contract. I said, no, I'm buying his autograph. I'm going to buy, $20,000 worth of his autographs. Just have him sign them, and I'll meet him at lunchtime and give him his money. And he's like, Gary was like, and I was standing 5 feet away from Perlman at the time, and it was funny because Neil Adams was in the table right next to him, and the conversation went down where he goes, well, if you're screwing Ron, you're going to have a problem. Do you know who he is? I'm like, yeah, he's an actor on a movie. He's like, well, have you ever seen Sons of Anarchy? And he's like, that's not a character. That's really who he is. And at that point,
brother, what the fuck is wrong with these dudes?
Just a switch hit. And I just told him, I said, Gary, I will grab you by the arms. I'll rip him off and I'll beat your guy over the head with him. He's either going to sign his autographs or I'm throwing him out of the building by his freaking neck. And so we ended up getting together, and he wanted to make sure the money was there. And so I dumped it on the table. I didn't wrap it. I literally dumped it in a pile in the middle of the table. I said, get to signing and get the hell out of my show. And that was my Gary Hassan, William Shatner. It was.
Yeah. Well, when you have Ron at the Albuquerque Comic-Con, you got to have Shatner and Ron Perlman and sit all together.
But Billy, let me tell you though, you know how hard it is to get comic book guests, especially comic book guests as huge as Ron, right? I could get 500 A-list movie stars before I could get a guy at Ron's level to agree.
No, baloney. That's not true.
You are welcome anytime. I will fly you and your closest friend out. I'll put you up in a hotel as long as you want to stay.
Whatever, brother, I'd be happy to come, man.
Man, you like getting guests at your level.
You said you're in Albuquerque?
Yeah. I do a June show and I do a January show.
You ever have John Jones out there or anything?
He shows up every now and then, but he usually just comes to Ring Girls, yeah.
Dude, I met Michael Westbrook last time, not this time.
Yeah. Michael Westbrook, hanging out with him. Closest friends in the world. Monster. Michael Westbrook, closest friend. Like Herb Dean is one of my dearest friends. We just did a movie together. Rampage Jackson. All those guys got their starts with me, right? Everybody you've heard of before 2009 started their career with me, with the exception of Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, and Randy Couture. Everyone else, from Rampage to Rashad, all those guys all got their start fighting for me in King of the Cage and Gladiator Challenge.
Dude, that's awesome. My cousin actually trains under Glover, and he just turned pro. He's like 2-0. I think his name's Kenyon Moore. He's a tough kid. He's my cousin's son, but he's a tough kid.
I met one of the guys, some little dude walking by, and he had cauliflower ear, and he's at the booth. I'm like, you wrestle? Because, my son wrestles.
Yeah.
He's like, no,
Yeah,
I
mine
fight.
too.
I'm like, no shit, you know. So he just started talking about fighting.
Yeah. So John Dotson was there. So that's Mighty Mouse. He was one of the guys there. He was probably in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle outfit, but he's the.
I met that guy.
Yeah.
But Mighty Mouse is not John Dodson.
Well, that's his name also. John Dotson has been he trains over at Jackson's and stuff like that.
So I didn't know that. So John has that name as well. As the Mighty Mouse we really know.
Yeah, he's got a couple of names, but you know, Mighty Mouse is when he was doing the backflips and everything in the middle of the cave.
Huh. How did that? That's weird how they both have that name.
So Jim, just I want to chime in on your Ron Perlman story.
Yeah.
I was a convention booking agent for about 30 different celebrities for 5 years before I opened the store. I guarantee you 100% that was Ron Perlman telling that agent all of that and pretending it wasn't from him.
He was just like this the whole time. And I keep a bunch of Secret Service guys with me. I got FBI guys that work for me. I learned a long time ago I don't operate in a scenario where I have to look over my shoulder. So my guys were standing there and he was like this the whole time. And
that was acting. I'm just telling you, that was acting. That all came from Perlman.
That's funny. His new agent said he's not really that big of a dick, but
he's not a big guy either.
No, he's what is he, 5'9" or something like that?
Yeah, he's little.
But he was really good to his fans.
And I'll tell you this, he is definitely not happy and looking forward to the next 4 years.
I'm
these motherfuckers. I honestly, guys, what the fuck has gotten into these? I swear to God, I truly believe there's some sort of
thank
worm.
God Ron is one of us too.
Well, he's just normal, ordinary people.
Yeah, normal people. Yeah.
Like they lose their fucking minds.
I mean, literally
$5 million, and let's be mad about it.
A long time ago, like years ago, I was telling people, I'm like, you guys see what's going on out there? Because I was recognizing shit happening, like when the internet with Twitter and then my friends all thought I was crazy, and now they all look at me like, oh my God, you were so right. Because I'm like, man, the fucking world is getting really weird. You know, who the fuck knew it was going to get as bad as this? And I can't go on Facebook or anything because it's just fucking idiots.
You got to stop following them because it's
I mean, honestly, guys, I just my brain almost I can't comprehend the stupidity that's coming out of their mouths.
It's insane.
Or in their
no matter what you say, they'll turn it so they can say anything they want, and then they'll turn whatever you say to make it be like you're the one who said it. They're literally
nobody gives a shit about them anymore. Nobody gives a fuck.
No,
because
correct.
So what they were able to do is that they were able to take the press and the powers that be were able to make the world believe, to fool the world, that a very tiny microcosm of opinion was.
Yeah, overall.
They used our fucking tax money to do it. They paid for those subscriptions.
And
they gave New York Times. They gave Politico. They had $84 million worth of subscriptions to Disney Channel, so they would put chemtrails in the movies and shit, so nobody knew what they were.
And then you see this shit coming out with the Doge thing, where they're spending millions of dollars on condoms sending to,
Yeah,
I want one of these Brazilian transgender comic books that my tax dollars. If I don't get a copy of the Brazilian transgender comic book that my tax dollars spent, I'm going to be pissed off.
You really realize how far it has gone, like how it seeped its way like a virus into culture, and and I'll tell you, I don't give a fuck when anybody thinks of Trump. That guy's handling the business,
dude,
like it needs to be.
Like I said, I'm having conversations with my friends who I call like my normal friends, and then having conversations with people that are losing their fucking minds. And it's like two different worlds. And the things they say, they listen to Joy Reid, and whatever Joy Reid says, they believe, or Sonny Houston and Whoopi Goldberg.
I don't understand that. Like, how could you be so weak
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
So weak-minded that you can't see through this bullshit. And then they say that about us, like, you guys are brainwashed. No, you are the ones in the cult. You are, you
Right.
know, it's
Right.
just sick.
Most
I
of us,
mean,
most of us
honestly.
weren't Trump supporters in 2015. He sold us on his stuff the second that he started.
Yeah, I don't
keeping
give
his
a fuck.
promises.
He says crass things. He says fucking things that you're like, oh God, whatever. But you know, the picture they've painted of him,
Makes
they
no sense.
only do it to justify their irrational hatred of him.
Well, it's not just that. It's not just that. If you look at that entire inauguration, almost everybody on that dais that Trump put there used to be on their side, Trump included. They despise traitors worse than anything else. If you don't go along with 100% of what they think, you are a traitor, and they drum you out. And we've accepted everybody. Greg Gutfeld had the greatest quote, and I just heard it like a day or two ago. Trump is like a restaurant. Although I don't like seafood, and if that restaurant has seafood, I'll eat at the rest of the restaurant. I don't have to order seafood. And he doesn't make you eat seafood if you come to his restaurant.
Right.
And that's all I ask for.
Yeah, Greg Gutfeld is actually quite brilliant.
He really is. He really is. Real quick, we have 2 super chats. Let me read this. Paul Taylor, how's it going, eh? With Canadian $10. Thank you so much. I like how the government is becoming more efficient and the Dems are threatening to riot in the streets. What a bunch of dickheads, I think he's saying.
Hail Pierre Polyview.
Yeah. Is that it? Yeah, what a bunch, you know. And then,
You know, the way I look at it now is it's like a big body that had leprosy on it, but they found a cure for it. And now you're still seeing patches of the leprosy over the body, but it's not as bad as it was. It's clearing up. And these people like AOC running her stupid mouth, and you know, they're just like little excesses that need to be gotten rid of. But I don't know, man.
Insane. It's insane. But and Jerry Roscoe, thank you, Jerry. In regards to Rob Liefeld, Rob is a good guy and has been nothing but kind to me in all our interactions over the years. The fact that Disney treated him so poorly compared to how Fox treated him for years is shameful. Absolutely.
Agreed, Jerry. Agreed.
Disney fucking sucks. And I'm glad that I have Mickey Mouse fucking debuting and she Gatecrasher fucking live on Kickstarter right now.
Well, what was the worst thing Liefeld said that happened to him at that premiere? Was the Kevin Feige didn't talk to him or something?
No, he was with his wife and kids, and they basically just told him, you're not invited to the after party. Like they were.
Why would they not invite him to the after party? He created the fucking thing.
That's the whole point, right? Like he wasn't asking for special treatment; he just wanted regular treatment. And so people that are giving him grief over being upset about it aren't recognizing that he wasn't asking for special. He was asking for the same treatment that the other guys were getting. He had his wife and kids there. Like, again, I would have dragged somebody by the face.
From Los Angeles to New York, he flew his family in to go, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, you can't come to the after. There's no invite for you for the after party."
That's ridiculous.
But, you know, and it's almost like. And here's the thing about after parties, and Ron, I know you've been to them. San Diego Comic-Con say there's this party. You want to come to this party? And like, well, I got me and Debbie. Like, okay, just you and Debbie. Because nobody else, but it's very, it's this big hush hush thing. Like, oh, okay, like, let's go, honey. So we show up, and there's every fucking retard that, like, what if you're telling me I can't go, and there's all these schmucks that have nothing to do with the comics or whatever. But it's always easy, like, what the hell is this guy doing here? I gotta like be all hush hush and be all quiet and not tell anyone where I'm going, and then I have half these other morons here.
Yeah, I will say that early on, the Image guys, even Jim Lee admits to this, that their success went to their heads. And, I don't know. I did have one interaction with Rob when he took over Captain America.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And he basically said, he kind of swiped one of my covers.
Oh, shoot.
And it was pretty much the same pose and everything, and he was being accused of that a lot back then. And somebody said, oh, it looks like Ron Garney swiped Ron Garney. And Rob insulted me. And he said, I don't have to swipe from anybody, especially Garney.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So
Well,
I
he
was at
getting a lot
San
of grief at that
Diego,
time,
right?
Wasn't he getting
I
a
was
ton
in.
of grief at that time?
What's that?
He was getting a ton of grief around that time, like
Yeah,
regarding
because he did
America.
that cat picture with his chest
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. That,
So I was working out at the gym with John Romita Jr. in San Diego at the San Diego Con, and Rob was in there. He kind of kept looking over. He wouldn't come over because this is after that happened. And so then I was in the elevator with Mike Waringo later that day, and the doors open, and in comes Rob and Jeff Loeb. And Rob kind of his face is, and he goes, "Oh man, Ron, so great to meet you. You know, I'm a huge fan." And and I'm like, "Oh, really, Rob?" Because I seem to remember just a month ago you saying you didn't have to swipe from anybody, especially me. He's like, "Oh no, man, no, I love your work." And then Jeff piped in and tried to defend him. No, he really does love your work. And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." I said, "Nice to meet you." And I got off the elevator. But you know what? Have the fucking balls. I just confronted you right in front of everybody and you denied it. And it's right there on the internet for everybody to see at that time. I said, so, that was my only real interaction with him, and I never kind of forgot that because he insulted me and then didn't have the man to, didn't man up and just say, yeah, I apologize. I shouldn't have said that, you know? So that's why I'm kind of, I don't know about Rob because he tends to create problems for himself. That's the impression I got from that.
the thing, though, too, is that no one realized how young we all were
Yeah,
back.
well, that's
30
yeah, I
fucking
get
years
that.
ago. Think about it, right, bro? It's 30
You're
years.
just kids.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we were like, and then, we're making money, and we're, like, holy crap, like we're a bunch of morons. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, that's
wow.
what Jim said. Jim said that he, it was hard for him because he'd go to do a store sign. He said the National Guard have to be called in because there were so many lines around the block for him. He said it was hard to keep his ego in check. He admitted it, and then he said, he eventually got over it. And, Jim's a cordial guy when you meet me and you talk to him now,
Yeah.
but back then I can remember trying to talk to him and he would just be like in another world.
It was
'cause
crazy the power and the success those guys had.
Yeah, and
I
how it
told you
goes to
right
people's heads.
Yeah, it was. And again, you think, if they're 25, 26, 27 years old, 30 years old, maybe,
Well, that's what led me to my thing with Garib, actually, because I will admit that Garib's stranglehold over everybody's careers really ate at me. Because that magazine was more popular than the actual comics.
Yeah.
It became very Hollywood like. And then everybody was, trying to jump through hoops and kiss Garib's ass to get on that top 10 list. If you were on that Wizard top 10 list, you'd get any book in the industry, at that time. That's how much power he had. And that's sort of what led to that little incident at the party. So
that's a story for another day.
I guess you didn't make the top 10 list that month.
No, he tried to blacklist me.
Not after that. You're
He
done.
tried, funny.
Anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys. We've been going for an hour and a half. I want to thank you all for joining us. Let's do this again, man. This is a lot of fun. I want to get a normal comic creators roundtable about 2025 and what we all can expect. I know, Jim, you can come in from the film aspects and convention scene thing too. But Ron, I'd love to have you on again, talking to Graham.
Sure, man.
Have him on. Dennis, man, get a nice round table of
But we got to have our whiskey and cigars.
That's what we'll do, a whiskey and cigar night.
All right.
We'll call it the Wild Bunch. That's what we're gonna call it.
Sounds good to me.
I'll set up, like, especially when it's cold out and stuff. We'll do a Wild Bunch night. I'll send the invite to you guys, and we'll have a good time. But
it's been an honor to be on with you guys. You guys are legends.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, man, I cannot wait to meet Ron Garney in person because I want to party with that guy.
He's a good time. Ron's a good time.
Getting a little, we got to get it in soon. I'm getting a little old for that kind of partying.
I've started as much shit with show promoters as Ron Garney.
That's funny. Ron, I'll be in touch, man. I really would love to have you at the show.
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
Yeah, I'll send you guys an introductory email, Ron and Jim. It's a great show. Guys, before I leave, I just want to Yep, I want to do this real quick, guys, before we leave, and then you guys talk about your stuff. Gatecrasher right here. We're almost at $95,000 on Indiegogo. Thank you all for supporting us.
Man, look at that.
And then for Kickstarter, I know these aren't Garney numbers, but these are mine. What did I do? Do it again? Did I share? Am I sharing Kickstarter now?
Dude, those are great numbers.
Kickstarter, almost at $80,000 on Kickstarter, guys.
1,000 backers.
What a great 20 days for these campaigns. Thank you, guys. 7 days left. Let's see if we can hit 200K with this. We love you all. Debbie and I are so much in debt for you guys. Man, you wonder when you bring
Yeah, we should all talk about doing a book together or something.
We called the Wild Bunch.
We called the Wild Bunch, but it could be an anthology. We all put in our own stories that somehow have a connection to them, but they're like, and then try to get it made into a movie or a show or something.
Dude, let's talk about it.
I'll develop it immediately. I'll make it into
I'd be remiss if I didn't remind Billy over here that I've got a script sitting that he said he was going to help me get done.
I didn't. Yeah,
look at it, guys. Let's look at it. All I need is I need a good graphical pitch deck, and I'll put it in front of some billionaires and see what we can do.
Perfect. Ron Garney, TJ James, one of our buddies, says Ron does Baltimore. Ron, what shows will you be at this year?
I'm not. I might be doing Albuquerque from what I hear.
My man.
I'm coming.
You're going to be at Terrificon in Mohegan Sun.
I'll be at Mohegan Sun. I'll probably be doing Heroes. All the general ones on the East Coast here. Maybe I don't know about New York. I can't stand it there.
Yeah, that show sucks. Yeah. Well, I'll talk to you about. We put together a great dinner at Heroes Con too. So
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Sounds good.
All right, everybody.
Well,
Dennis,
but Billy, you come back to Albuquerque too, man. We'll just have all of us in Albuquerque. So you come back.
Be here. I'll be there. It just depends on Matthew's wrestling schedule. So.
I know. I love it. My kids are wrestling this weekend too. So
yeah, your son too, right, Ron?
Yeah. We all got wrestlers.
Yeah. Does he have counties coming up or your regions coming up now, right?
Yeah, we got states coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, states.
My son won his match last night, 15-0.
Nice. Nice.
Very proud papa.
That's great. What's he wrestle at? What's his weight class?
165.
Oh shoot! All right, yeah. My guy's a little guy, lightweight. All right, guys. Dennis, real quick, you want to share?
Yeah, so I put on. I'm a co-host of the Industry of Comics show on Beyond Wednesday channel here on YouTube. I own Wonderworld Comics and an anime and video game store called Disctopia in the Mall of Monroe. Hang out there all the time and check out my personal channel, Wonderworld Comics. I've just put on 2 videos on how we can survive the comic book crash of 2025.
Oh, so you predicted a crash coming. All right, let's get on. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah, really? You're predicting that,
he
huh?
He predicted a crash. I said, Dennis, what's the prediction for 2025? And he quoted Mr. T from Rocky 3, pain. Yeah.
Incredible.
Jim, what do you got going on real quick? And then we'll end it with Ron.
We got Duke City Comic-Con coming up June 27, 28, 29. We got James on your chat right now from Albuquerque. He keeps popping in and saying hi. I didn't want to leave him out. I got a Steve Peros movie I'm getting ready to put together and working on that. I've got 4 more movies before June, so hopefully I'll have tons of money and I can throw the party when you guys come out.
Jesus, dude, you are one busy motherfucker.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, he's like this. Hey Ron, what's up for you? What do you got going on, brother? That you can share?
No, just wait. I'm waiting to hear from Keanu about the Berserker sequel. In the meantime, I'm just, I have my band and we're writing an album. I'm pretty much the songwriter for the band, and so I'm just working on that, having fun, and then I'll be doing some shows and stuff until then.
Nice,
dude. Bring the band out, man. I got an auditorium we use. Bring the band out.
That would be great. Everybody's kind of got their lives. It's hard to get everybody
Stupid
together.
Grown-up jobs. They always screw up the fun.
Yeah, they do.
Pretty much.
Guys.
All right, Paul Keano said, thank you, Paul. Keano seems like a cool guy. Nice to see normal people in Hollywood for a change.
Wait, we got to do this.
Oh, geez. Then he goes like that, right? When he did it. And then Macron
Fucking-
does the real fucking Nazi salute, that piece of shit.
Morons, man.
All right, guys.
So
Everyone,
stupid.
thank you so much. I'm gonna make a little video, say goodbye. And guys, have a great night. Thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. And
Thanks
let's
for the
do our
invite,
whiskey
Bill.
cigar night, man, for sure. Talk
All
to you
right,
later.
brothers. See ya.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on PopXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the PopXP and over on Instagram at the PopXP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.